Early in the morning, a thin drizzle stretched like silver silk across the coastal road. Small waves crashed against the rocks with a gentle rhythm, like the heartbeat of someone just waking from a dream. Kahaya walked quickly through the rain, holding an umbrella flipped by the wind. She was on her way to the wholesale market to pick up supplies for the second-hand bookstore where she worked part-time. But today, something unexpected made her stop in the middle of the empty road. The screech of brakes rang out, followed by the splash of water. A black sports car slid through the rain and plunged into the sea. Everything happened in just seconds, but it was enough to make Kahaya's heart freeze. She rushed to the edge of the embankment and shouted, "Is anyone in there?" No answer. Only ripples widening on the cold surface of the water. Without hesitation, Kahaya kicked off her shoes, threw down her bag, and jumped in. The icy water wrapped around her body like invisible hands pulling her down. Beneath the murky water, she saw the silhouette of a man inside the car, unconscious, his head resting against the steering wheel. She struggled to open the car door and pull him out. With her last bit of strength, Kahaya dragged the man to shore, gasping for breath. His face was pale, lips bluish, but his heartbeat was still there. Call an ambulance," she shouted, gripping his neck as if afraid his life would slip away. When medics arrived, Kahaya followed them to the hospital without thinking twice. All she knew was, she couldn't leave him alone. At the central hospital, doctors informed her, the man, named Lingyu, around 30 years old, had sustained a mild head injury and a fractured rib. But more concerning, he showed signs of temporary amnesia. His memory might return, or it might not. "Miss, are you his family?" a nurse asked. Kahaya shook her head, exhaling softly. "No. I just saved him. You'll need to make an advance deposit, around 300,000 yuan, said the receptionist. Kahaya was stunned. Her total savings weren't even 1/10 of that amount. But looking at him, this stranger lying unconscious in a hospital bed, his handsome yet fragile face, Kahaya couldn't walk away. She made her decision. Even if she had to sell everything, she would pay. Because if she hadn't been there that day, he might have died. 3 days later, Lingyu woke up. His eyes were empty, and his voice hoarse as he asked, "Who am I?" Kahaya sat beside him, smiling gently. "I'm trying to figure that out too." From that moment, an invisible thread began to bind two strangers together. With nowhere to go, no identification, and still needing care, Lingyu temporarily stayed at Kahaya's small apartment. At first, it was just a cramped room. But thanks to her tidy hands and radiant heart, it soon felt like a warm home. Kahaya cooked, bought medicine, and helped him relearn how to walk. Though amnesiac, Lingyu carried a natural elegance, a calm voice, a tidy demeanor, and sharp eyes that studied everything. Sometimes he dreamed of the sea and woke up gasping in the middle of the night. "You saved me?" he asked one evening. Kahaya nodded. "You don't have to remember. Just stay alive." Meanwhile, the media buzzed. Lingyu, the young CEO of a massive financial empire, was missing after a mysterious accident. Company stock prices plummeted. Rumors of power struggles spread. But no one knew that the man they searched for was sitting in a tiny apartment, eating eggs and rice, asking, "Why does this taste so good?" Kahaya smiled. "Because it's cooked with gratitude." One day, Kahaya counted her remaining money. Hospital bills, daily expenses, rent, she was running dry. "Are you struggling?" Lingyu asked quietly. Kahaya nodded, her voice like a breeze. "Then, can I help somehow?" She looked at him, chuckled. "You don't even know who you are. What can you do?" He thought for a moment. "Clean the house?" Even without memory, Lingyu showed his sense of responsibility. He started helping her with laundry, dishes, windows, even manning the bookstore's old counter sometimes. The neighborhood nicknamed them the strange couple, the girl who laughed a lot, the guy who barely spoke. But the way they looked at each other was gentle, asterisk-like morning light in early autumn. Still, deep down, Kahaya knew this world wasn't truly his. Someday, when his memory returned, he might leave, and all she would have left was a memory of a love that began with a crash. One cloudy morning, Kahaya had just made ginger tea when she saw Lingyu standing on the balcony, staring into the gray sky. The wind tugged gently at the sweater she had knitted him, slightly ill-fitting, but full of love. "What are you thinking?" she asked, handing him the tea. He didn't answer right away. Then, softly, "Every morning, I dream of the sea. But it's not calm. There's someone crying for help, and I can't reach them." Kahaya froze, tightening her grip on the cup. Maybe that's a piece of memory trying to return. Lingyu didn't reply. His eyes remained distant, fixed on a sea no one else could see. From that day, he changed. He wasn't the same bumbling man cleaning floors or shelving children's books. His gaze grew sharper, steps more assured, and sometimes, he looked at Kahaya like he knew her, from a different life. One rainy afternoon, they were in the bookstore. Kahaya stacked picture books, while Lingyu wiped the glass windows. Suddenly, the wind chime rang. A woman walked in, ****, Nadira ****, Kahaya's older sister. Kahaya stiffened. Nadira, dressed in a navy suit and heels, scanned the room and locked eyes with Lingyu. "You are Lingyu, right?" she said firmly. The room fell silent. Kahaya felt her blood rush. Lingyu looked at Nadira, eyes blank. "I don't know who you are." Nadira sighed, pulled out her phone, tapped it, and held up a photo. Lingyu, in a boardroom, sharp in a gray suit, every inch a CEO. "Do you even realize who you've been feeding and dressing?" She turned to Kahaya. "That's the CEO of Sentosa Holdings, missing for a month. And you've been living with him?" Kahaya's face turned pale. She didn't respond. Nadira scoffed. "You really know how to pick them." That night, Lingyu sat silently in the tiny kitchen. Kahaya washed dishes, hands trembling. She knew, this moment would come. "Am I really that person she said I am?" he asked. Kahaya set down the last plate. "I don't know who you were. I just know, the man I found in the rain that day needed help. And since then, I've never trusted anyone more." Lingyu stared at her. "If I'm really that man, then staying here was a lie." Kahaya smiled sadly. "No. You didn't lie to me. You just forgot who you were." News of Lingyu's discovery spread rapidly. Headlines read: "Young CEO Lingyu found alive after weeks missing, memory recovery underway." Kahaya saw the headline and felt her throat tighten. Since Nadira's visit, everything had changed. Lingyu was invited back to the company. A luxury car parked outside the boarding house. Corporate people came to fetch him. She didn't say goodbye. But in his eyes, as he stepped into the car, there was something he wanted to say, yet didn't. Days passed slowly. Kahaya still opened the bookstore. She still helped Balastrai at the morning coffee stall. But her heart felt hollow. As if there was a room inside her that couldn't be filled again. Only the scent of bitter coffee and yellowed pages kept her company. Until one sudden rainy afternoon, the door of the bookstore creaked open. A man stood at the entrance, slightly soaked, holding a steaming paper cup. It was him. Lingyu, in a gray suit, no longer the cold CEO from the photos, but the quiet man who used to help wipe windows beside her. "Black coffee, no sugar," he said softly, with a faint smile. "I remember everything now." Kahaya stood frozen. "But the reason I came back wasn't because of my memory. It was because I missed you." Her heart fluttered. Her hands trembled as she took the cup from his hand. "I have everything, power, money, an entire corporation, but in that world, no one ever made me a bowl of warm soup. And no one ever lit up my soul the way you did." Kahaya looked at him, long and quiet, then smiled faintly. "I thought you'd forget me." Lingyu shook his head. "You're the only part I never wanted to forget." Months later, the neighborhood held a resident meeting. The head of the community announced that an anonymous donor had provided funds to renovate the playground, build a small library, and restore the bookstore. A small name in the corner of the donation plaque read. *L.Y. Foundation. In the corner of the old coffee shop Wak Dulu, where bamboo lanterns hung lazily in the window, Kahaya and Lingyu sat facing each other. Their hands gently intertwined. "Kahaya," Lingyu whispered. "There's something I never said back in that little kitchen." Kahaya turned to him, her eyes shining. "I love you." She lowered her gaze, lips trembling, and gently squeezed his hand. "And I already loved you, even when you didn't know who you were." On a chilly night before the new year, the community held a small celebration. Bulastrai served onde onde, Pak Anwar played harmonica, and children laughed on the newly installed slide. Kahaya received a text. "Can you come out behind the bookstore for a moment?" She stepped outside. The backyard was strung with soft yellow lights. On a small table were 2 steaming cups of coffee. Lingyu stood there, wearing a white shirt, a gentle smile on his face. "I didn't bring flowers. No string quartet. Just the place where everything began, a gentle rain, old books, and the scent of coffee." Kahaya smiled. "That's more than enough." Lingyu pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside wasn't a diamond ring, but a simple handmade silver band, etched with tiny waves. "I'm not proposing with grandeur. I just want to ask. Will you brew coffee with me every morning, read beside me every night, and grow old together through the seasons, as 2 ordinary people?" Kahaya didn't reply with words. She just held out her hand, eyes glistening with tears. And that was enough.